Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Tutor to You session tonight on biological rhythms. We've got Anne and we've got Anna back with us tonight. Tricky area this tonight, isn't it, really? Lots of terminology, lots of different things that muddle students up. We'll talk about all this going forward throughout the session. We've got lots of fast-paced things for you to get involved with. As always, it's an interactive session, so pop your answers in the chat. We'll be stretching your knowledge and understanding tonight. And then just a reminder that we're not here next week. We are going on tour for our grade booster sessions. If you want to and you haven't already, take a look at the link that I've just put in our chat and you can come and spend the whole day with us revising everything from essay writing to specific topics to skills that you need to make your exam a success. So Anna, who's kicking us off tonight?
That's me, it is.
Okay, Anna, when you're
Anna.
ready.
Okay, right, so we're going to start you off with a nice little activity here, nice little bit of a warm-up. So that's something I like to do with my students in class. This is, so you're going to get a number of different clues, and the clues should lead you to an answer. The earlier you get it, the better in theory, but just remember, if you jump in too soon, you might get it wrong. So we're looking at about something to do with biological rhythms. So our first clue is natural light is vital in maintaining this. Now, there's a few things that you could potentially have for that. So if you want to jump in and get the answer straight away, feel free to go for it. That's just with one clue. Okay, our second clue is it is synchronized by the SCN. We've got a few people already jumped in there for the answer, I see. Very brave there. Third answer is Cephas can be used for support. So you've got a little bit of research there. That's a study. We've got some different answers coming in, actually. Okay, and answer number 4 is longer than ultradian and shorter than infradian. We're getting towards what it might be now for the answer. Fifth answer or question is an example would be the sleep-wake cycle. So well done those of you that got the correct answer. I can see there's a few of you. I think Hannah came in first there, so well done, Hannah. That is your circadian rhythm. Now just remember, circadian rhythm is one of 3 rhythms that's named on the specification, and you need to know each, how long they last, examples and research for each of them. Fantastic. Let's jump on to our next one. Okay, first clue is it helps to reset the SCN. That's a suprachiasmatic nucleus. Okay, clue number 2 is this is from the environment. We've got some answers already coming in here. Clue number 3, not enough of this can cause SAD. I should know that that stands for seasonal affective disorder. I think I can see the right answer popped up already. Clue number 4. So Seafra was deprived of this, and if you know that study well enough, you should know what it is. And answer number 5 is I am an exogenous Zeitgeber. And jumping in there for your answer, I think that the first person on there that got that right was Amelia. So your answer is light. So well done, Amelia. Right, so just a bit of warm up. I'm going to throw you over to Anne now for a few more short answer questions.
Answer the question on the screen. Got a few of these. Okay, so if you start off with the first one. What type of biorhythm is menstruation?
10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Okay, and the correct answer is, who's got the first correct answer to it? Okay, it's just disappeared up there. It was Yolanda. Was it Yolanda, I think, was the first answer? Sorry if it was somebody else. Johanna. It is monthly, or certainly less often than 24 hourly, which would be circadian. So well done. Okay, we got in there. So let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so difference between endogenous light givers.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Wait for the noise to go. Yeah. Okay, so we've got endogenous internal and exogenous external. It's a lot more typing on that one, wasn't it? Okay, but I think most of you have seemed to have that. Yeah, the endogenous are our kind of internal body clocks, like the SCN, and exogenous are from the outside, so they're environmental cues, not clues. Environmental cues like sunlight, like natural light, and both work together to regulate our biological rhythms. Okay, so well done. Okay, we've got another one. So case studies often used to investigate biological rhythms. One limitation of using case studies to look at biological rhythms.
10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Yeah, you've got kind of answers there that they're okay, but they're still quite generic answers. They're not kind of specific to this area. But then again, you didn't have very much time to type them in. I'm aware of that. If it was obviously an exam, you'd need to make it more relevant to this area, because they tend to be unique cases. Definitely what you're saying. Nice to be, you've got idiographic. Yeah, that's good. But they tend to be people with sleep disorders. And that obviously makes it difficult to generalize the results to people who haven't got, sleep disorders. So yeah, some good answers there, but just would need a bit of shaping if you were using it as evaluation for this area. Okay, our last one then. What works with the SCN and secretes a chemical that induces sleep? Off we go.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Yep. So, yep, I think it was in very quickly there. Ishika. Sorry if I'm saying your name right, with the pineal gland. And then I was going to have a follow-up question. What was the chemical? And Hannah answered it there, that it secretes melatonin that induces sleep. So you preempted my question, a few of you there, Sharon as well, Lydia, Natasha. So well done. Okay, so I'm going to pass back to Anna.
Fantastic. Okay, so what we're going to take a look at now is a bit of an application question, so an AO2 question. And obviously, these are very popular in the exam. A third of your marks across the A level is going to be questions in application. So we'll just kind of take a look at the question. It's about Dolly, who fell asleep during a lecture at college, and her friend had to nudge her awake after she snored. After the lesson, Dolly said she wasn't sleeping at night and had gotten into a bad sleep routine. Here's your question. Using your knowledge of research into exogenous Zeitgebers, briefly explain the advice you would give Dolly to get into a better sleep routine. Now, in a moment, we're going to see a response. But before we do this, take your time on these questions, read them very closely. You've got a word in there, research, that can often really throw students. Research in the exam means theories and or studies. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the response, and I'm going to be asking you what could be done to improve this answer. So here is our student response. So exogenous light givers are cues from the environment play an important role in regulating biological rhythms. Dolly should make sure there's minimal light at bedtime. In the morning, Dolly should open the curtains to wake up. Now that answer is obviously not perfect, but I would like you to think, if you were the teacher, what advice would you give that student to improve that as an application answer? Remember, it's worth 4 marks, so it should be a pretty chunky response that I'm getting from that question. So I'll wait for some ideas to roll in. We're just looking at, what does the student need to do to improve this answer? So be really specific with your guidance in terms of what you would do here. Who's going to be brave enough to go in first? Lydia. Fantastic. Okay, so Hannah's suggesting there to actually use some research. Anna S is saying about using direct quotes. You can use direct quotes. I'm always in a bit of a favour of kind of, rephrasing things slightly. We've got reference to the pineal glanders there as well. So I think we're saying the student needs to be a bit more specific maybe in their answer. Now Jay's made a really important point here, saying explain that no light means production of melatonin. So some kind of reference to light. Right, we'll have a look at some of our guidance here. And I think you'll see you've actually covered quite a few of these things. So the first thing I'm going to pick up there, and that's kind of the point that Jay's made, is this idea that there's minimal light. I mean, in essence, we really need to be turning the light off in itself, don't we? So we might make reference to actually no light at bedtime and also discuss how this could be achieved. So by shutting off curtains, keeping the lights off and turning off the mobile phone. So that certainly needs a little bit of elaboration. Wonder what else we can do to the answer. What's the next bit of advice? Okay. Also, it just has this bit here, doesn't it? It says, in the morning, Dolly should open the curtains to wake up. Like, lo and behold, that just happens. But we need just a little bit of application of knowledge in there. So we're talking about how that's actually going to happen. So what is the function of opening the curtains? That's going to allow light to enter the room, and that's going to help regulate the endogenous pacemaker. So if we kind of have a look at the answer with a few kind of additions on it, what you should see there is the answer kind of really doubles in size, doesn't it? And bearing in mind that's a typed response. So we've just got a little bit of elaboration at no light. We could even take it a little bit further, like a few of you have said here, and talk about what effect the no light would have in terms of production of melatonin or effect there on the suprachiasmatic nucleus as well. So hopefully that's kind of good advice. What I will say to you as well is, in these questions, 4 markers, you've probably got around 8 lines. And if you haven't got 8 lines, it might even say extra space in the exam. What I always say to my students is, on short answer questions, it's not extra space. It's space that you should probably be using. But some great ideas there, folks. Well done. It's back over to you, Anne.
Okay, so we're on to our give me 3. So the first one, 3 examples of exogenous zeitgebers. One we've talked about quite a lot, but you need to think about some other ones. If you can't think of 3, stick in 2. Yeah, social cues. What would be examples of social cues? Yeah, other people going to bed around you, that would be a social cue, wouldn't it? We had meal times, I think somebody might have said. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, mealtime zeros come in there with meal times. We've got sunlight, meal times, seasons, but I think somebody had temperature. I'm presuming you mean the outside temperature as opposed to the inside temperature. Crying. I hope that's not I don't think that's an answer, is it, Anna? Okay, so well done. Let's look at the next one then. The next, give me 3. Oh, this is a trickier one. 3 implications of research into circadian rhythms. If you can't think of 3, just stick 1 or 2 on there. But what does this research imply? What does it kind of tell us that we could do or we need to do? How can we use this information? How could you apply it? Well done, Jay's coming in there. Yeah. Got some really good answers here. Yeah, some of you just going kind of for evaluation, but implications is more that. Implications is more, what can we do with these findings? So yeah, in shift work is inadvisable, but some people have to do it, but some people never can. I don't think I could. I can't shift my body clock. When the hour goes forwards or backwards, it takes me about a week. So we had some good, so it's the practical implications. You can use it to suggest treatments for sleep disorders, the importance of not using screens before bed. Therapy to treat SAD. People have got there, informing when it's best to take medications, when they're going to work better. So we've got some kind of good answers, but also some that are school start times. That's something they keep suggesting, Anna, isn't it? That school start times might not be the best, particularly for certain times in your life as well. Yeah, bedtimes help sleep problems. So exposing babies to sunlight to stimulate circadian rhythm development. That's a good one. Nobody mentioned that. But I think you did with the others. So we've got some really good implications there. Okay, tricky one that, but again, useful for when you're evaluating some of these things. Okay, give me 3 brain waves in the stages of sleep. This is ultradian rhythms less than 24 hours, the sleep cycle. What are the different brain waves involved in the stages of sleep? How many of those can you get? Yeah, they're all Greek letters, aren't they? Yeah, you know your stuff, don't you? Which is the deepest sleep? Which is the slowest wave? Does anybody know? I've got a bit of a lag my end, so I'm probably not reading it. I've got Delta as the slowest, the deepest sleep on my list anyway. Okay. Yes, Rach, well done. Okay, so I'm going to pass back to Anna now.
Thank you very much, Anne. All right, so we're just going to be having a quick look here at evaluation structure in this activity. So we've got lots and lots of statements that we might be able to hopefully rearrange to form an evaluation. And, there might be a little bit further we can go as well with this evaluation. So all you've got to do is it's going to be the first person really to put in order how we would use these statements if we're looking for some really well organized evaluation. So you might say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully you don't, but you get the general idea. So when you're ready, have a read through. In what order is that going to construct an evaluation? Gosh, you're all quick, aren't you? Well done.
I know
Some
they're on
answers coming
fire
through already.
tonight.
It might just be a bit of a conformity exercise from now on, though. So who's going to brave it? Who's going to brave it and maybe go rogue and do something different? Okay, right, we can see loads of answers coming through. They're all the same, and I don't imagine we're going to get much difference now. Okay, we've got quite a majority there, haven't we? Let's just have a look at the right order here. And let's just think about a few things just related to this evaluation. So we're starting off and we're talking about we've got some evidence to illustrate the suprachiasmatic nucleus as that endogenous pacemaker. You might want to say, well, maybe that evidence needs a little bit of a point to start off with. Is this a strength or a weakness? And then we're going in, and you'll notice in the description of this evidence, you're being really, really concise here. It's really easy to overwrite that evaluation and go into too many of the details of research. Whereas this one, we've just got the key kind of findings. Then we're kind of coming towards the end of the evaluation here, and we're saying that this, shows how important the SCN is. And then we've got a little bit of what I would call like line of argument, or a kind of extra layer in your bun, which is just to think about another kind of angle, or maybe a little bit of counter argument. And here we're just going to do a little bit of a critique based on the idea that, we're actually talking about kind of non-humans here when we're looking at these mutant hamsters, as I would call them, and that might be problematic. But, your counter argument to that is always that you could never do a piece of research like this on human beings because, of course, of the ethics of this kind of research. So nice evaluation there, doing all of the things really that we would expect to see in effective evaluation. Researchers' names, really nice, concise description, and then finishing off with a little bit extra there in that line of argument. Okay, next, we're just going to take a quick look at just a little bit of decoding the question, which is always really, really important to think about. And I'm sure, many times your teachers in class have kind of gone through a number of different activities. So we've got a big one here on the screen, and it is your big one, and it has come up before, I'm afraid. And it's discussed the role of endogenous and exogenous pacemakers and zeitgebers, sorry, that was a mouthful, in circadian rhythms or in the sleep-wake cycle, a 16-mark question. So if you were looking at that question, hopefully you don't just rush in and answer it. Let's just think about what are the key things you're going to pause and focus on. So what are the key things for consideration? I can see some answers coming through there already. Those are certainly things I'd be focused on. So what have we got coming through? Yeah, I mean, you kind of nail on the head there, Zero. Well done. So if we just kind of highlight some of these words, the big thing that I'm going to highlight in this is discuss. And this throws so many students off in 16-mark questions or in 8-mark questions. And you can go around the houses, but it basically means describe and evaluate. So, and what are we describing and evaluating? Now, you've got the word and in there. So that's super important. You've got to talk about the endogenous pacemakers and also exogenous zeitgebers. And what I would say here is, just be careful. It's very, very easy just to give a 16 marker here on circadian rhythms, but that's not entirely what it's about. And I always say to my students, I give them different pieces of research. We look at the chipmunk and the hamster research in this question, just so we can keep the focus, because focus is really important. So we've got someone in there, I think Crystal said, 3 evaluation points for AO3. There is no rule, Crystal, actually. AQA don't specify how many. I know that, with my students, I often talk about 4, but it's about how effective the evaluation that you're writing is. We've got some ideas here about using supporting evidence. Absolutely. Love to see a researcher named an AO3. It's not the end of the world if you can't. You can always write a researcher, but it really does kind of make your answer stand out. Somebody said talking about issues and debates again.
Sorry, I'm just interrupting here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johanna mentioned the role of, because we haven't actually got that in yellow, and that is really
Well
important.
done.
The role, how they work,
Fantastic.
how they interact, what they do, and that is quite crucial in there, isn't it?
Yeah, well spotted on that, Johanna. That's really good. I was just going to pick out as well, somebody says about using issues and debates. You don't have to use issues and debates in your evaluation. They used to have to, but sometimes it's easy to get that very, very wrong. AQA love the evidence in evaluation, I think is what I'll say. You've got that's good that you've seen that on there, Crystal. Well done. Right, really, really good ideas there. So you're talking about a bit of a balanced in terms of strengths and weaknesses. Counters are good. Yes, again, really, really nice ideas there, folks. Well done. Right, back over to you, Anne.
Okay, so we've got this one here. Explain one example of an infradian rhythm. Again, unpicking that question, what are the things that you need to pick up on there if you're answering that? I've got a little bit of a time lag, I think. My internet isn't quite so good, so it might be a while before I pick up a comment.
Well, we've got one
Yes,
there.
you need some sort of definition. Lily, it's being careful that you've picked the right kind of rhythm, isn't it? It'd be awful to kind of jump in there and have the wrong one. So you need to give an example. And if you've said like the menstrual cycle would be an example that you could give, what would you need to explain? Yes, Hannah, that's what you're thinking about, isn't it? The length of the rhythm, one example, definition of it, 4 marks, 4 points. Yeah, I mean, it's thinking, well, what are they going to give you the marks for, So define it, talk about it, give an example and talk about it, explain why the menstrual cycle is an infradian rhythm. So some great stuff there. Because you've got to get, it's always that kind of guide of looking at the amount of marks to think about the amount of writing, because if you just write down menstrual cycle, then however much, it's not going to get you more than 1 mark, is it? So you have got to kind of define it, talk about it, give an example, and talk about that. That's quite a good way to think about it, Natasha. Okay, so well done. If we're going to pass back to Anna.
Okay, right. So we're just going to have a little bit of a look at a spot the error task here. Now, I'm going to leave this text on the screen just for a moment, and we're going to go with, to start with, how many errors can you see on this slide? Again, we're just thinking a bit of a conformity activity maybe. So how many errors? And then if you want to start throwing in as well what those errors are. So we've got a statement here. Errors, so number of errors in total and what the errors are that you can spot. Good, got some answers coming in already. Okay, so yeah, we're getting the first incorrect answer. We can start to see that. That's good. Any other things that you can spot? Got some guesses already for number of errors. I won't tell you who's right just yet. Very good. We can see lots of things coming in here. RH thinks there's 4 errors. Hannah says 5. Aisha says 5. Right, we've got loads of things thrown in there. Let's just run through what these errors actually were and how many there is. So start off with our first error is ultradian rhythm. Now, well done. That was a bit of a red herring almost, isn't it? Because you've got the different things. You've got the sleep-wake cycle is a circadian rhythm. Whereas the stages of sleep would be your ultradian rhythm. Okay, next error is going to be internal cue. So obviously the role of light is exogenous, which means external, like exit. Okay, our next one is light is first detected by the brain. We're more thinking specifically like where. We're going to think about in the eye, really, in the optic nerve for that. Then we've got our next one is sending message to the pituitary gland. Really easy to mix those two up, pituitary and pineal gland, because they do sound very similar. Is there anything else, or is it just going to be 4? Have we got a 5th error? I think we have. The 5th error is melanin. Obviously, it's not melanin. It's going to be melatonin there just for the last bit. Okay, well done, folks. You picked those out really well. Fantastic.
We went
I
through many
know,
ones
tough
tonight,
area.
weren't we?
Did well.
I know. I thought we might catch some people out with some of them errors, but they were all over biological rhythms tonight, weren't they? Very impressive indeed. And another great session, thanks to Anna and Anne. Reminder, you can catch this again if you wanted to go through it and test yourself again on demand on our YouTube channel. You can also access some help and revision notes on our Instagram page at Tutor to You Psych. And a reminder, finally, we're not here next week. We will resume these lives on Tuesday, the 1st of April, continuing with biopsychology, where we come back and we have a look at ways to study the brain, which I know I say it every week, but it is another tricky topic. Would you agree, Anna?
It is,
Yeah,
definitely.
there we go. So thank you, everybody. Excellent session. Thanks to you guys presenting and to everybody who's took part and interacted in the chat. Absolutely fantastic. And we will see you after or at Grade Booster. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, folks. Well done.
Bye.